Welcome back. Tonight, we aren't searching for ghosts and mirrors. Instead, we face the darkness eroding our humanity from within. A secret that cannot be told. A debt that must be paid with your very breath. This story is titled, The Blood Ink Ritual. Lamb stood before his grandfather's stilt house, where the valley mist was so thick that time seemed to have stopped decades ago. The house wasn't just old, it looked weary. The dark wooden beams seemed to groan under an invisible weight. Lamb didn't return out of love. He returned because of gambling debts in the city. He needed to sell this land, and fast. But Chắt Village had an unwritten rule. The dead do not take secrets to the grave. They leave them on the walls. Inside his grandfather's room, Lamb froze. The smell of rot hit him. Not decomposing flesh, but damp old paper mixed with a pungent metallic scent. Every wall was covered in yellowed parchment. The handwriting was jagged, crawling like centipedes under the flickering oil lamp. The ink wasn't black, it was the bruised purple of dried blood. Lamb reached out to peel a paper off. The moment his fingertip touched the edge, a chill shot up his spine. The paper read, Day 49. I still hear it scratching the dirt wall. I sewed its mouth shut. Why is it still calling my name? From beneath the floorboards, a rhythmic scratching sound rose. A pale, skeletal hand slid a long scroll through the gaps in the wood. On it, fresh red ink dripped. You're home, Lamb. I'm running out of ink. Can I borrow some of yours? Lamb backed away, tripping over an old bench. The scratching stopped. The silence was heavier than the sound. Ink isn't made from charcoal. It's made from the things you dare not say. A raspy voice came from the shadows. It was Uncle Ba, the only relative left. He held a small clay jar filled with a thick, pulsating black liquid. Your grandfather didn't die of old age, Lamb. He ran out of ink. In this village, the heavier the sin, the faster the ink dries. When there's nothing left to write, the thing under the floor comes for your bone marrow. Lamb gasped, I just want to sell the house. I have nothing to do with this. Uncle Ba grinned, revealing black teeth. Look at your hand. Under the skin of Lamb's index finger, a purple stain was spreading. It wasn't ink on the surface. It was under his flesh, crawling up his arm, forming jagged letters he couldn't yet read. The pain was a cold, dull ache. Uncle Ba placed the hair bristle pen on the table. Right, Lamb. Don't let it come looking for the answers inside your head. As Lamb stared at the blank paper, the scratching sound moved inside his ears. What did you do? The papers on the walls began to leak the bruised purple fluid. It flowed across the floor like oily snakes, coiling around Lamb's ankles. He grabbed the pen. As the tip touched the paper, a vision flashed. A young woman, her face mangled from a hit-and-run accident Lamb caused 2 years ago. He began to write frantically. As the words appeared, the purple stain on his arm cracked open. A small black tongue poked out from the wound, licking the words off the paper like a starving beast. The sensation of the tongue licking his open wound made Lamb gag. Every time it touched a letter, the memory of the accident became vivid. The screeching tires, the rain, the girl's body. Suddenly, the hair on the pen began to grow, burrowing into Lamb's fingernails like roots seeking water. His hand moved on its own. It wasn't writing about the accident anymore. It wrote a name, Ling. his little sister who vanished in the woods 10 years ago, the one he pushed into the brush to save himself from a rabid dog. As the name was finished, the floorboards splintered. A small, waterlogged hand reached up and grabbed Lamb's ankle, pulling him down into the dark. The hand was cold and slimy. From the gap in the floor, a face emerged. Not human, but a mass of wrinkled flesh wrapped in ink-soaked parchment. "Brother, save me." It was Lynn's voice. Uncle Ba appeared again, holding a green incense stick. "That's not your sister, Lamb. That's the scribe. When a secret is buried too long, it creates a body out of these papers to reclaim the ink." As Lamb struggled, the papers on the wall began to fly off, sticking to his face, sealing his nose and mouth. Through the thin paper, he saw the truth. Uncle Ba wasn't there. The one holding the incense was the withered corpse of his grandfather, his mouth sewn shut with black hair. Lamb's skin felt like it was melting into the paper. The grandfather's corpse leaned in. "You're looking for Uncle Ba. He's been in the ink jar for 10 years. The house wasn't a building. It was a living entity. Lamb's vision began to blur as the purple stain reached his eyes. The scribe crawled out completely. It had no legs. Its lower body was a never-ending trail of paper with Lamb's name written 1,000 times. It reached for Lamb's eyes. "Borrowing these so I can see the way home." Lamb no longer saw the room. He saw a void of hanging white scrolls, each recording a moment of his cowardice. The grandfather's corpse began to disintegrate into tiny paper scraps. "I sewed my mouth so the truth wouldn't spill out, but now you are the replacement." Cliffhanger. Lamb's legs turned flat and white. His veins turned into ink lines. From his eyes, a black tongue finally emerged, licking the air. The pain was gone, replaced by a terrifying emptiness. Lamb's fingers were now thin strips of parchment. He was becoming a living book. The scribe dipped the hairpen into the jar, ink made from the marrow of his ancestors. It began to draw on Lamb's chest. It drew the village, the house, and finally, the moment Lamb arrived that very afternoon. As the drawing finished, Lamb saw a familiar figure enter the front door. It was another Lamb, holding the same lamp, looking just as scared. Lamb was now just a sheet of paper on the wall. He watched his double enter the trap. He saw the floor beneath the new Lamb was actually a giant, hungry mouth made of millions of secrets. He realized the Uncle Ba he saw was just an illusion created by the house to lure him in. Cliffhanger. The new Lamb reached out to touch the paper on the wall, the paper that was the old Lamb. As their fingers met, the cycle began again, but faster this time. The house groaned in hunger. The new Lamb knelt, his eyes leaking purple ink as he began to scratch his own confession into the floor. The old Lamb felt himself shredding, turning into the base layer for the new victim's story. A grandfather's ghost whispered, "There is no forgiveness here, only the record." The mist filled the house. Silence returned. On the table, the ink jar was empty, waiting for the next traveler. Because in Chắt Village, the ink never truly runs out. It just waits for yours. Our story ends here. Thank you for listening to the Blood Ink Ritual. Be careful what you write down and check the corners of your home tonight. If you enjoyed this nightmare, please subscribe and leave a comment. See you in the next haunting. Good night, if you can.